Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to episode 472 of the Welcome to Asgard podcast, where tonight we're going to talk mostly about the box office disaster that is the brand new Disney film Wish. I'll also give some of my general thoughts on the movie, as I was unfortunately able to actually see the movie. I've been able to see that. I've been able to see the Marvels. I've even been able to see Songbirds and Snakes, the Ballad of Said Animals. I've not been able to watch all of Napoleon yet, though I have seen the first 10 minutes or so. And so far, it's okay based on the things that I've heard from people I trust. Doesn't sound like it's going to be a winner in my book, but I, of course, have heard many people have various mixed reactions. I think, though, my buddy John Flickinger has one of the best takes on it, because apparently there's going to be a, I think he said, maybe, I don't know if it's hyperbolic or not, or whether it's true, but a roughly 4-hour director's cut that's going to be released on Disney Plus. Not on Disney Plus. But it's going to actually be released on to, is going to be, released on Apple TV Plus, and because it's going to be released on Apple TV Plus, what that means is that there's going to be an extended director's cut edition of the movie. So theoretically, a far superior film, but again, we of course shall actually see. But before any further, please make sure you smash that like button. Light up the fire button. I see you smash the rumble button as well. And again, thank you all for joining in the chat. Please let me know if things are coming through okay. I apologize for running a little bit late. I was used to last week. We were able to get Baby Thor down just around 7 p.m., so I was actually able to jump on a little bit earlier with in-laws and my wife cooking tonight that just didn't have the schedule fully fledged out, so things ended up taking just a little bit longer. Just a wee bit longer, as it were. So I apologize for the late start. But we are here now, and we're going to be talking about some box office stuff. So let me know if things are coming through okay. I know that there's been issues in the past, at the very least, with Odyssey. I saw that it was playing, though I think the issue before is about the audio. See, Abomination says, let's see here. Checking to see if the software works with this. Yeah, so it's still, I think, having the same issues as before, but glad to see that the sound seems at the very least to be coming through. Anyway, let's go ahead and say hello to the people in the chat and not delay this any longer. First, we got Kimberly G. What is going on, Kimberly G? Thank you very much for being here. Yeah, I'm still very happy hanging out with this new software, right? You know, utilizing OBS with a multi-stream feature you can build in with one of these plugins, with one of these add-ons, and so far things have been working pretty well. And I really do enjoy the fact that there is also a streaming app or really a plugin for your browser that allows me to highlight the chats from across all of the platforms that I stream to. So we are live on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, and also on Twitter. No integration there, but it's also hard to find any comments sections really on Twitter live streams at this point. Kevin Wang, what's going on? Welcome on YouTube. He tagged to say, was there a movie where you thought it won't make $1 billion, but it made $1 billion? Yes. This past year alone, right? Barbie. I don't know if you've been around for a while, but Barbie was a film that I did not think it was going to make $1 billion. I always knew it was going to make money. You can actually go back and hear, like, I think it's going to make a lot of money. In the case of the Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers was a film I thought was going to make a lot of money. Did not think the film was going to get to $1 billion, and I was basing that off of just the history that we had of animated films in various marketplaces. But Mario proved to be a unique release. It proved to be just this new entity. What I did find interesting is that a lot of the people that said, oh, well, I always knew it was going to make $1 billion, were also the same people who were saying, oh, it's going to make bank in Japan. And then if you look at the numbers for Japan, it did fine there, but it didn't really break a whole lot of new ground in that region. When we talk about the local releases, right? The local Japanese releases, there are still so many of those that far outpaced anything. And that was something that I was talking about, saying, don't get your hopes up for Japan to be this massive juggernaut. It's going to be a solid release there, but it was not the juggernaut that many people were suspecting it to be. So that was one. And then for Barbie, that to me, honestly, I don't think anyone could have honestly predicted it. Again, you might have had some people out there saying, I think it's going to make $1 billion. I think that they were kind of pulling it at the rear end at that point. But I do think that ultimately no one really could understand, and no one could have predicted the whole Barbenheimer effect. Because if we're going to be honest, the Barbenheimer effect is the reason why that film, made $1 billion, right? Meme culture, especially with an audience that is much more likely to see the memes, right? To actually be a part of the memes, it just makes a lot more sense, right? A female-centric film for a female-centric audience using that type of meme culture. I can see now why, in retrospect, hindsight being 2020, that would be the actual case. All right, see, Master of Gaming in the chat. What is going on? We got Keely Chow hanging out in the chat as well. Thank you very much for being here. Great Wuda hanging out in the chat. What's going on? We got Laura, the Mother Major General Story. She's one of the mods, so make sure that you are respectful, or else she will lay down her mighty axe. She says, I've got my tickets for Godzilla Less Than Zero, and I'm stoked. Yeah, I was able to get my tickets for tomorrow's fan event screening in IMAX, so I'm very excited to be able to see the film in IMAX. And obviously, fingers crossed, as long as nothing else comes up. As I said, I do have in-laws in town right now, so that should theoretically mean that the 8 p.m. showing, Baby Thor goes to bed around 7 p.m., so there really is no good reason for us not to be able to go, or for me not to be able to go. But again, when you got kids, priorities go towards them, go towards family, and so we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens with that. But yes, I do have a ticket to go see Godzilla -1, the fan event, the 8 p.m. showing tomorrow. So I am very, very excited for it. Physics Chattanooga Lee says, what have you heard about the new Godzilla film? I really haven't heard a whole lot. I have not watched any reviews. I assume that Jeremy Johns, if he doesn't have a review up already, might have one up soon. I've been basically out of it all day on social media. As you all know, I work full-time as a teacher, so I had a lot of stuff going on. By the time I got home, I had more stuff going on with kids and with family over. So my ability to really watch much of anything this past couple of days has just essentially been non-existent. So I don't know if these videos have actually been posted or not. But yeah, the only thing that I can imagine, though, is I would not be surprised if the film gets rave reviews. And I say that simply because it's a Toho release of a Godzilla film. And this is therefore coming from a place where it's coming from people either directly or connected to others that know this story, that know this franchise, and therefore will be able to deliver what people actually want to see. So my hope is that if we start to hear from people like Jeremy Johns or from other more trustworthy reviewers, I think if, for instance, Critical Drinker is able to see this film at an early screening or at the very least at a premiere and get a video out before the weekend, we know he has influence. We know that he has far reach, right? We know that there are people in Hollywood who listen to him, who watch his videos, right? Who take what he says at a much higher value than any of the other persons really in our space. And so if someone like him, if he were to see it and if he likes it, if he loves it even, that might move the needle, right? Right now, early projections for the movie domestically are not very strong. The last I checked from Box Office Pro, I believe the numbers were still in the single digits. And obviously, we'll probably get an update to those numbers over the course of the week. Typically, Box Office Pro gives their update sometime around Wednesday, usually going into Wednesday evening. But the last update they had for Godzilla -1 was around $5 million to $9 million in its opening day, right? And in its opening night. So just to transition over to there, as you can see, these are the early projections they had: 5 to 9 million opening, total domestic range of 9 to 18. Now, part of me says, okay, once the actual word of mouth gets out on this movie, if it is good, that of course is a huge caveat to all of this, I would not be surprised if the opening weekend comes in well into the double digits domestically. I can also, however, see the movie capping out in that single digit number. Because even if the film is good, and even if there is good of word of mouth, there is one major handicap, I would say, that this movie has. And obviously, we're talking here about trends. We're talking here about what most films historically have done. But when it comes down to films that are released that have subtitles, right? Movies that have subtitles. And to my knowledge, I don't know of a dubbed release of this. It might exist. It would make sense for a studio to have it. But in general, when you have these foreign releases that have subtitles, a lot of American audiences just do not want to approach them, or are at least not as quick to want to approach them to spend their money on. And I don't personally, I really don't quite understand it. I understand it, the general concept, right? Why would I want to read words on the screen? I don't understand that personally because I have no problem with it. But for those that do, again, I can totally respect that for those especially that might have issues where they can't see. But the beauty about Godzilla films, and this is why I think, though that could happen, why I think it may not be as much of a handicap as what it could be, is the fact that a Godzilla movie doesn't really need as much. You don't need to have as many words spoken. You don't need to therefore have the ability to understand what's even being said. If the emotion's being conveyed by the actors, and if the monster, right, the Godzilla, the Gojira universe and story is being told in such a way where it's a visual story, those are the kinds of stories that are almost the best, right? When you don't need to have every single thing spelled out for you, where you don't even necessarily need to know what the human characters in the story are saying, right? Ultimately, Godzilla should be about Godzilla. This is one of the many reasons why I have hated the MonsterVerse movies, because they've put in these terrible human stories that have been garbage, and the CGI, except for the first Godzilla film, really hasn't been all that impressive, right? It's either looked bad or at the very least, it's been a CGI fest. And there's a difference in between those two things. When I say something is bad CGI, what I mean is that it's either poorly rendered, poorly designed, just doesn't look good. CGI fest is when you are so overusing CGI in your framing of your shot, right? In the actual composition of the shot, that everything gets lost. It all becomes this massive digital noise. So for people that might enjoy CGI monsters, fighting each other, for someone like me, I say all I see there is digital noise, and to me that's somewhat lazy. So I'm very, very excited for this movie, and I'm really hoping that it comes in well over expectations and projections. Let's see. Cthulhu, what's up, brother? Says, hello, Odin chat. Good evening and happy holidays. We don't do the happy holidays over here. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, no matter where you are in the world. It's Thanksgiving in America, and that means that everyone has to celebrate. But yeah, blessed season. We're not even in Advent yet, so I'm still far removed from getting too much into the Christmas spirit, because until Advent starts, that is our preparation period for Christmas, which, remember, Christmas itself is a season. It's not just one day. It is a season. It is a liturgical season, and I'll keep reminding y'all about that on the channel. It's one of my passions. Lady Tharp of Hastings, what is going on? Lady Tharp, thank you very much for being here today. Let's see who else we got. Let's see. Shen Hong, what's going on, brother? Looks like the Rumble chat is working, at least for now. I opened the chat a little bit later than last time, so hopefully that fixed any of the issues that were there. But he says, funny how many peeps want to try and one-up Gene Wilder as Wonka. Depp is good enough to make a go. Don't see this new guy faring well. Gene was a class all his own. Timothy talking there about Timothy Chalamet, right? Timothy Chalamet. I just don't see it, right? So I have this article pulled up as well. So this is from Deadline talking about how Wonka, and again, Tony with the very cringe pun-filled titles, Wonka sweet in short lead tracking with 35 to 40 million pre-Christmas opening. Where have we seen this story before, though? What was the opening weekend for The Marvels? Box office flop, by the way. Around this number. What was the opening weekend for a film like The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes? About this number. That film had a decent showing over the Thanksgiving break, definitely made up some ground, but we have since seen a pretty massive drop-off the Monday following it. And to me, it's setting a tone for what could potentially be a massive drop-off in week 3. It's a film that doesn't need to make a whole lot of money to break even because of their finances, but still something that needs to be talked about nonetheless. And now you have a film like Wonka talking in the same ballpark as far as its opening. And then let's not, of course, forget about how Wish, in its domestic opening, came in significantly lower than the expectations for its domestic opening. So all these movies, right, with these major stars, right, with these major studios, and in many cases with these massive budgets, of those movies I've mentioned, the one that has the smallest budget, I believe, was Wish. Sorry, not Wish. Absolutely not Wish. Instead, it was rather Songbirds and Snakes, which they reported $100 million budget. And let's see if they have anything listed here as far as that being concerned. It says that Warner Brothers feature musical Wonka arrived on a 3-week out tracking this week with a revised industry projection of $35 to $40 million. The start in the vicinity of Sony's Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, which opened before Christmas, while going pre-Christmas, is always risky for any family-branded picks, are quite safe and remain a powerful distraction for families. The Timothée Chalamet movie is great with women right now, under and over 25, unaided awareness in 22 to 23 with women, with a category by which respondents cited movies' names, upholstered, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of gobbledygook right there. All that is trying to say is that, well, hey, it seems like of the people being polled, those that fit this specific category seem to be responding well. The issue with that is that, well, that does not then insinuate that all persons in said demographic are actually going to show up or actually going to have any support whatsoever. So from what I'm seeing from this right now, I really can't say. It says here that with Quorum Analytics predicting a $20 to $23 million opening, note it's still early in the campaigns, so there's a potential for an upside. So this was from November 3rd. So that was the initial tracking was from 20 to 23 million. And so that's now gone up to 35 to 40 million. So it'll be interesting to see, does it go closer to the updated numbers that we now have, or are instead we going to see it, come in underneath? That's kind of the nature of the beast. That's kind of what we have been seeing now for the last several releases, right? And let's go ahead and see if there are any updates to the actual budget of the film. And it says right here, $125 million budget. So not the biggest of all the budgets. So still about $25 million more than what we saw being spent by Songbirds and Snakes. But still enough to where you're looking at $300-ish million worldwide to break even with that kind of a start. Unless there's amazing word of mouth, I don't know. Could we have yet another major flop on our hands? Still too early to tell with that one. We got Bruce hanging out in the chat. What is going on, Bruce? Welcome back. Let's see. We got Print Screen in the chat. Hail to you. Thanks for being here. Let's see. Lordy. I don't know why I just said that. Laura, the Modern Major General. Shen Hong at 7-Eleven says, between Wonka and Agua Dude, I don't see theaters doing too well this holiday. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what films, are going to stick out. Are there going to be films that overperform? I don't know. Never rule out completely women being interested to try to go see Aquaman. They were a huge portion of the audience to a much higher level than in previous superhero movies. And obviously a lot of that can be probably given to the fact that it featured shirtless Jason Momoa. And, women might like that. The question, though, is as strong of an influence as that can have, we have seen him in other films that have not done nearly as well in comparison. But also, there's the Amber Heard effect. There's a lot of women, and I know there's a lot of women, especially in our space, who have been very vocal about this, who do not like her, who do not trust her, who find her to be a complete and utter grifter and liar. And there's that question of how much of an impact is that going to have? Is that going to take away some of the women that might have had some interest because of someone like Jason Momoa being in it, but their hatred of and their dislike of Amber Heard is a little bit more powerful? We have to wait and see. Icthulu says, I'm sure both of those are far superior. I want to see Godzilla for certain along with you all. Yeah, I definitely am looking forward to going to see it. That is definitely the case for me. We got Orange Chat Reviews in the chat. What's going on, brother? And again, he will lay down the law. All that I ask is that you be respectful. Kimberly G, Killian Shadowcat, what is going on? Saying these midstream ad kicks me out of the chat. Anyone else experiencing this? Yeah, so Kimberly G, I don't know if you've been around since YouTube changed its policy, but essentially, if you use ad blocker on YouTube, what will happen is whenever an ad plays, you will get removed from the stream, or there will be some technical issues that happen. This is something that YouTube implemented to try to get away with it. And to me, it's one of those things where I can honestly see both sides. I know that it's not popular to say that I can see the side of YouTube, but if you think about it, the thing that creators on YouTube get revenue streams from is ads. And so when you watch their videos without ad blocker or with ad blocker, it means that you're taking away those revenues. On the flip side, YouTube has always been terrible when it comes to the implementation of ads, and has always shown to have favorites, and has always shown, even though I have it clicked to be the most conservative, right, of the options that I have available to have my ads on, it has to be there basically. And I have it listed as being, to be the most conservative, to have the least amount possible as far as the ads are concerned. But as far as why you're getting kicked out, that is the reason why. It's because of it fighting up with ad blocker because of recent changes on YouTube's end. Kincaid Rumsky over on Rumble at 716 says, I like the new intro, pre-intro, but where's the Christmas tree? Yeah, I found this one on Stream Elements. I've been playing around with it, and I do like it. I am not a technical person in that regard as far as being able to do any type of design. Have you seen Have you seen the thumbnails from my videos? They're not good. They are definitely not good. So I think that the adding of a Christmas tree probably is not going to be in the cards. Also, as I said, Advent hasn't even started yet, so we're still a ways away from that even being the case. Alrighty. Let's see. Forever Sci-Fi in the chat. Hail to you. Jason J. Narf. I caught that Pinky in the Brain reference. Talk about a classic show that's so fun. Kimberly G, member, says, this seems to be the year of the biopic. Who will win? Oppenheimer, Napoleon, Maestro, or Ferrari? I'm thinking Oppenheimer. Based on the things that I'm seeing and hearing, having only seen of those movies Oppenheimer, I have not heard anything about Maestro myself, and Ferrari I know very little of too. Ferrari seems to be a bit more niche. I'm making that on pure speculation, so forgive me if that's just completely off base. So in my mind, it comes down to more so a battle between Oppenheimer and Napoleon for the more like poppy, meaning the more, broad release structure. And to me, I think Oppenheimer, based on what I've seen so far from Napoleon and what I've heard about the film, probably has an edge. But here's the thing: I don't think they're going to win Best Picture. I really don't. I mean, we all know the Oscars have not meant anything for a very, very long time. And I said this now months ago. I would not be surprised in the current climate that we are in that Barbie gets nominated for Best Picture. And I think that there is a strong chance for Barbie to get not only nominated, but also to win Best Picture. And in addition to that, to even win Best Director. We all know it's all about the message, right? It's not about what is right. It's not about what is good. It's not about what is true. It's about the message. And that would send a massive message that, hey, guess what? You haven't learned anything. We already know that because the host, I believe, has already been announced to be Jimmy Kimmel. Again, one of the worst hosts that they've ever had in their history, and yet they're bringing them back. So clearly they have not learned anything. Heartbreak Ridge, welcome back to the chat. We got JS Pena hanging out in the chat as well. Abomination says, check in to see if the software works with, again, still the @Odin for some reason is not working. So just put the name Odin, nothing before it if you're on Odyssey. Cthulhu, time to say, it's not just a disaster if you want to see the company fail. I call that another win. Yeah, I think you're right. I think by disaster, I just mean that objectively speaking, it is one. Kincaid Rumsky says, why didn't you finish Napoleon? Time too short? Yes, it is, Kincaid Rumsky, and I see what you did there. That's some low-hanging fruit. There's a joke to be made with what I just said, too. Oh, man. Let's see. Zaid Mazani, what's going on? The Life Perspective Show, welcome. Prince Green tagged to say, did you hear that Die Hard will be released in theaters on December 8th? Yeah, I just literally retweeted it within the last hour with the comment saying, aha, as you can see, this film clearly is a Christmas movie. And I indeed still hold to that very fact. Let's see. Heartbreak Ridge. I see that 10 minutes ago you became a member at the Citizen of Asgard level. So I'll go ahead and highlight this comment since it doesn't have the badge next to it yet. But it says here, I will watch Napoleon again when Masters of the Air miniseries hits in late January. Okay. Very, very cool. All right. Some people say 4 hours too long. Yeah. For me, it's, hey, if it's going to be that cut that's released onto Apple TV Plus, that's going to be the highest quality version that I'll probably ever have the time to see. So we'll have to, of course, wait and cross that bridge when we do. Abomination says, I saw movies that might actually be interested in buying at my local grocery store. Wonder if they stock more movies and I'll buy the lot the same day. Oh, you can find films at your grocery store. That's interesting. I feel that buying movies at grocery stores is not nearly as commonplace in today's world as it used to. There's still a handful of like Dollar Trees, Dollar Generals, places like that where they sell food, but I wouldn't necessarily call them a grocery store. But yeah, I know that they tend to have a lot of them there. Right? I tend to have some random assortments of movies there. Keely Chow again, how's it going? Heartbreak Ridge, Napoleon needs it though. The Cliff Notes version of the film of his life in the movie is way too sketchy. Yeah, I already didn't like in the first 10 minutes, it kept kind of jumping from one place to the other. And it was, I think, not paced very well. It just came across as just, I don't know, very messy. All right, good to hear, Abomination. Thanks for keeping a check on that. Keely Chow, I can't wait for you to explain the math. Oh, I bet you can't. Shen Hong says, oh, a short joke. Don't worry. In the Apple director's cut, he is taller. Keely Chow, in my Scott Steiner voice, the numbers don't lie, and it spells disaster for Wish. I still have no idea if that's the actual voice for that or not. Lady Tharp of Hastings, this year I'm going to add Die Hard and Miracle on 34th to my Christmas watch list. Yes! That is how we achieve victory, Lady Tharp. That is how we win the culture war, is by making it very clear that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Miracle on 34th, I assume you mean the original classic. That's one that I think is probably on a lot of people's list as well. For me, my go-to Christmas movie always has been It's a Wonderful Life. I recently had someone, I think it was on Twitter, who tried to argue that it wasn't good, and I immediately excommunicated them from my life. Because if you don't think it's one of the best films, let alone one of the best Christmas films that's ever been made, I can't help you. That's like one of my all-time greatest movies, favorite films ever. So that's one I like. And then I have a guilty pleasure that really isn't a Christmas movie. I guess I personally would say this one's a Christmas movie because of when it happens, when it takes place over this time of year. It's more of a film that's like appropriate to actually watch on Christmas. It starts off right at the very beginning, and that is the film Serendipity with John Cusack. And I know John Cusack has gone off the rails. He's insane now, right? He's a tool. But Kate Beckinsale's in the movie, and as I said, it's a guilty pleasure. That's, for me, the definition of guilty pleasure. Let's see. Laura, the Modern Major General, says, Context Napoleon, the movie lost me when they showed cannonballs hitting the pyramids. Yeah, and apparently, I think it's Ridley Scott even described and explained why that scene was in there, and it was meant to more so convey the fact that he took over and destroyed Egypt or something to that effect. But don't quote me on that. Nathan Slay, what's going on, brother? Welcome back. Thank you. We got Rob D tagging to say, hello, Odin. So HBO Max is going to remove almost all of their Looney Tunes content and tons of other movies at the end of December. Seriously contemplating dropping my subscription in 2024. I can't say I blame you, dude, right? These streaming services, I think, are at just the wrong time. Not that there ever would be necessarily a right time, but they are choosing to make these financial decisions to such a degree that it's going to be bad. Like, it's going to be so detrimental to the cause that they're trying to put forward. Because remember, many of these people are the same companies that have also gone on to say, yeah, we're also going to either stop our physical media production or limit our physical media production. So the writing is just on the wall, right? Because one of the things that people like me who are very much supportive of and very much back physical media releases and physical media collections is the fact that if everything is all digital, if all of your movies are owned in a digital library by Amazon, by Movies Anywhere, right, whatever it might be, one, those companies will not last forever. These companies are constantly coming and going, right? More importantly, though, the contracts that they have to be able to license, to distribute these movies are also constantly changing. So a Vudu or a Movies Anywhere, right? Many of these places have it so, let's say a studio decides to pull out of whatever agreement they might have to have their films featured on these particular sites, even if the money's being paid for, they can just one day say, nope, we're going elsewhere. And then what happens? They have to remove that film from your library. We're already seeing this happen, right? Amazon has already done this, and you don't really then own anything. And so, yeah, I don't blame you, dude. And I'm all, and y'all have heard me from this before too. Like, I am a full proponent, and I'll just pull these over here. I'm a full proponent of, one, buying physical media, but then two, saving up to get yourself a NAS. There's complicated setups or more expensive setups. And then there's also ones that I think a lot of people could use to get started. One of the best ones, this is the one that I use to get started, right? There's even simpler ones than this because you can host it on your own computer. But I set up a Plex server on my NVIDIA Shield. It was an NVIDIA Shield Pro. And I think that at the time was $100, $150. And then I bought a 10 terabytes Easy Drive, which was more than enough for me getting started. You can set up a server on that alone. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to put your movie library on there. So not only am I in favor of physical media because you get the actual physical disc. So this is the people recently won giveaways on my Discord who are members of the Keeper of Bifrost level or above. They get access to a giveaways Discord channel. But movies like Sound of Freedom on Blu-ray, Unforgiven on 4K, the Cowboy Bebop complete series, wonderful Kurosawa film, Ikiru. Love Ikiru. So good. Here's another Unforgiven. This was the copy that I was sent by Paramount for the 4K edition of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Another film that I thoroughly enjoyed. Godfather 4K Steelbook edition. And again, I've got so many others. These are just the ones that recently have been given away, and I'll be sending those out very, very soon for those that did win that giveaway. But what I can do is, with that server that I've set up, I can then use a free program like Make MKV, make a digital version of that file, put it on my server, and guess what? Not only can I then watch it like I can on Netflix with very little delay, right? Again, we're talking here about hosting it on your own server with that kind of hardware. You're going to see the kinds of delays that you would typically see on Netflix, that you would typically see. So basically what you can do is you can create your own Netflix with just a server, which even an old computer can act as a server, right? As I said, there's even simpler and cheaper ways to do it. And then you can get all the way up to, I have two NAS servers with 14 gig. One has a set of 14 gig hard drives, 14 terabyte hard drives. And then the other has, I think, 10, 12 terabyte hard drives. And I've got thousands of movies on there. And anytime I want to watch a movie, if I want to get the physical disc, I can do that because I own it. But also I have that digital backup too. And it's really cool. And I'm very much a big proponent of that. There's tons of videos that have tutorials about that very thing. All right, let's see. Nathan Slay. Odin, do you have any interest in the movie Silent Night? No, I do not. It's been mentioned on here a couple times, but that's about it. Orange Chat, Godzilla -1 not playing anywhere near me. Oh no, Orange Chat, I'm sorry to hear that. I think that's the other problem, is that it's going to be a somewhat more limited release. So I think that's going to have probably an impact. Prince Screen, who at 727 said, do you think a Barbenheimer effect could happen for Bad Boys 4 and Inside Out 2 in June of next year, especially considering Inside Out 2 could also cater to a female audience? No, here's the thing. That kind of thing is unpredictable. No one could have honestly predicted the kind of effect that Barbenheimer would have. It was the right meme. It was the right movement at the right time, right? And it's hard to capture lightning in a bottle. We've seen them try to AstroTurf. We have seen them try to show some control over it. And the best example of that was with Morbius. Remember, there was the huge meme that popped up online with "It's Morbin time." And what did the studio do? They misread what was going on, and then they ended up talking to the theaters and say, hey, let's put this movie back out in more theaters to get people excited, because clearly they want to see It's Morbin time when that's not in the movie, and it's just this joke that, again, popped up around, did not result in ticket sales. That was a huge bust, right? That film was an utter failure, and the Morbius and the Morbin time effect had no impact. So any meme is not going to automatically mean you're going to make money. Barbenheimer was special. It had the exact right time when it needed to. Release dates are a big part of that as well. So I think those are the kinds of events that happen where that's like a once every 5 year, once every 10 year, once even, in a lifetime potentially. I think that it's going to be a long time before we see something like that again. Cthulhu, someone needs a team stream the movie for Orange. Any takers? I don't know. Keely Chow. Oh, did hit my Heath Ledger story. I got kids. Kevin Wang. How much money did Disney lose in the box office this year so far? I have not done my full box office breakdown for the studios by year, but what I can say is that it is quite a large amount of money. So every year I have been able to bring those together. I don't remember if I did a dedicated one last year, or if it took me a while to get a dedicated one. But I just, it's something where, based off of the amount of, supposed profits, right, assumed profits, and where we have right now, it is just not looking good, right? So let's go ahead and just kind of go through this somewhat quickly before we do an official segment on these things. So for instance, the film Wish, as of the recording of this stream right now worldwide, after its opening weekend over Thanksgiving, only $49 million. And I say only because this is far beneath the number that they had originally going into it. Right now, that would put them well above minus $200 million for that. All right. So you got about roughly $200 million projected. I think we could say probably will end in a loss of $150 to $200 million. And I think that's being generous. So let's say, for the sake of argument, $200 million. All right. The Marvels has fallen off the face of the map. It's not making money anymore. It might eke out $200 million internationally. It's not going to get to $100 million domestically. So this film, probably yet another $200 million loss. Let's see. We're just looking here for the Disney-specific releases. So do know that there might be some Fox films that might be a part of the discussion, but I can tell you there's been no Fox film this year that I know of that has been a massive moneymaker for them. Let's see if we can find another. Haunted Mansion. Forgot about Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion only made $114 million. That's around $150 million in losses. So now we're at what? We were at 400 before. Now we're at $550 million in financial losses just for them alone. Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. Remember, this film budget so much higher than what was initially projected. And right now, the numbers that we have that's been revealed to us, this film, $370 million in the red as a projection. All right, now we're jumping up to what? 800-ish million? That's just in the financial losses for that movie. Elemental, based off of the numbers that are in front of me right now, Elemental looks like it's also a financial loss of around $7 million, so just about making its money back. So about a wash. Maybe we could say $805 million internationally. $805 million in financial losses. Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid did one of the better, had one of the better runs for a while. Okay, $100 million. All right, that's $100 million down the toilet for Little Mermaid. So now we're getting to $905 million. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the one real bright spot, and there are some that would argue that the production budget and marketing were actually a lot higher than indicated. We'll find out those numbers next year. But based on the numbers that I have and the typical standards that I use, I had that as a gross of $132 million. Okay, so we were up at $900 million. So now we're back down to $700 million, maybe. Okay, let's just be generous with that number. So they're at $700 million in the red for the year, based on the numbers that have been released so far. Let's see, any other major releases. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, this film, $20+ million in losses. Again, I know there's some out there whose metrics have it close to $100 million. So still, let's say, sake of argument, let's say 750. All right, let's say 750 at this point in time, right? Let's see. Any other major films? Now we're getting into 2022. So just, again, that was very bare bones, right? That was very much just going by what I could eye. So that is not an official take. Roughly $750 million in financial losses for Disney this year just from their movies. And I think that an argument can be made, seeing that I'm using a lot more conservative metrics there. A range on this, $750 to $1 billion in financial losses. And that is just on the movie side. We haven't even talked about the Disney Plus side. If you add in the Disney Plus side, that's when you get into probably multiple billions of dollars being lost. It's not good. Great Wuda. I'm going to watch Silent Night instead of Godzilla -1 because I've seen Godzilla destroy Japan plenty of times. Okay. I really don't know, but is Silent Night honestly going to be that much more original? I don't even know what it's about. On Christmas Eve, a man witnesses the death of his young son when the boy gets caught in crossfire between warring gangs. Recovering from a wound that cost him his voice, he soon embarks on a bloody and grueling quest to punish those that are responsible. Interesting. Very interesting. Action thriller directed by John Woo. Okay. Stars Joel Kinnaman, Scott Muscundi, Harold Torres. Features almost no dialogue, interestingly enough. It's Woo's first American feature since Paycheck. And I remember, wasn't Paycheck the one where the original film sucked, but there was a re-release or there was a director's cut or something that was a lot better? The basic premise, Brian Goodluck is a family man who goes into the underworld to avenge his young son's death on Christmas Eve. Well, hey, when I first heard Silent Night, I was thinking, oh, is this yet another one of these horror films that's been done 1,000 times? It's a revenge movie, though. So, again, we're talking originality there. Sounds interesting, though. Definitely sounds a little bit interesting. Nathan Slay, by the way, I watched The Fifth Element for the first time this past Friday. It was really good. It's weird, but yeah, I agree. Shen Hong had to say it's also a period piece. Will be interesting to see how well it presents the World War II era, says Shen Hong. Okay. Very cool. Thank you again for hanging out over on the Rumble side of things. The Morak had to say, hey, it's been a while since I've been able to catch one of your streams. Do you have any thoughts on the shift from Angel Studios? It's not come out yet. I know that it is set to come out this week. It looks interesting. All the trailers for it have looked very, very interesting. I'm probably going to have to wait for people to give some feedback on it because I just don't have a lot of time to see a lot of films these days. But yeah, I have high hopes. I want to make sure that my expectations stay very tempered because I don't think that the creator, the director of The Shift is going to be the same person who did Sound of Freedom. And I thought that Sound of Freedom had a very capable director behind the scenes, which is why I'm very excited for the Cabrini film they have set to release about St. Francis Xavier Cabrini, a wonderful saint in the life of the church. And that's coming out in the spring. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Let's see. Heartbreak says, did you hear that Disney got a Defense Department contract, but they produced more bombs than Lockheed Martin? I see what you did there. Wait, am I running out of chat already? What is this nonsense? What in the world is this nonsense? Okay. I'm just running out of time. It's a Trap Productions. What's up? Can you give us an idea of what you think of is good CGI? See a movie example. Yeah, again, I mentioned one that I thought used it pretty well. Godzilla 2014, I thought used it well. Georgia Dog. I know this movie doesn't come out until December 22nd. Thoughts on Iron Claw of the Von Erichs? I'm looking forward to that, dude. Zac Efron got jacked for that role. I'm a big fan of wrestling. I'm a big fan of wrestling films. That looks great. I actually don't know a whole lot about the Von Erichs, so I'm actually excited. I want to see that film, and I hope I have the ability to do so. Steven, I was wondering if you could do a prayer for a friend of mine who died today due to cancer, unfortunately. Absolutely. Absolutely. May perpetual light shine upon him. We will pray for him, of course. Limited Power, what's going on? Welcome back. Heartbreak Ridge, the member, thank you again for joining. Levistro, what is going on? Welcome. Welcome. Shen Hong says, when I watch the Wonka trailer, I see someone trying to be Doctor Who. Yeah. I haven't watched it enough to say, but Abomination, oh, Odin, come on. Wonka will definitely make more money than the Marvels, mostly because of the budget, but still 110 million is higher than 200 million. Oh, yeah, I agree. I think that as far as net gain profits, Wonka has a much better chance. But beyond that, yeah, hard to say. Clearly, y'all are killing it in the chat tonight, though, based on the fact that I'm already getting some comments here that are about to disappear. See, Jazz Pena says, not relevant, but after watching that awful Doctor Who special, I'm hoping Matt Smith isn't pulling an Andrew Garfield and doesn't show up in the following specials. Yeah. I gave up on Doctor Who during the Capaldi years, and I have not gone back, and I've not missed it. I'm going to be honest, I have not missed it. The magic is gone. I did not have nearly as much of a affinity or connection to that universe as some of the others, but it's very sad. Levistro, Titus say, Christmas was determined by the early Christian beliefs. Christ died the day he was conceived. Christmas, December 25th, 27th, 9 months from it is March 19th, April 7th during Passover. I don't know exactly the point of what you're trying to say is, but traditionally there was universally the understanding that the conception of Christ was 9 months prior to, right? So I believe it was March 25th, if my memory serves me right, my brain's fried today. So it was May 25th, March 25th, that was always viewed as the traditional understanding of the conception of Christ, of when the Immaculate Conception took place. Sorry, not the Immaculate Conception. I need to correct myself there. That's with Mary. When the Nativity took place. Sorry, scratch that, reverse it. I am just all over the place today. So the conception, that's what I meant. The conception of Christ. And so therefore, by proxy, that leads ultimately to December 25th. It's either that or it's the other way around, where December 25th was always traditionally understood, and it goes back. There is actually a lot of historical record to indicate that that is the case. I don't know what the point of what you were trying to make was, and I don't have the bandwidth to try to process indirect and incomplete information in that way, especially when I don't know what question I'm answering. Abomination says, I was way off in estimates. Yeah. Alrighty. We got Tina B in the chat. What's going on, Tina B? Welcome back. Let's see. Hardwick in the chat. The one actor today who I think could pull off a good book-accurate Willy Wonka is David Tennant. Goatee, he would be perfect match of the book's description. Maybe. I don't think a lot of people really would want to see it, just because I think people are tired of what people deem and what people believe to be the best representations of certain characters being, taken over and being redone in a way that's in many ways subpar to the minds of many. Orange Chat, I absolutely won't watch Aquaman 2. The only way I do is if her screen time is cut out to 0 minutes and 0 seconds. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of rumors and speculation, but I don't really know how much of it is actually true. Abomination says, what YouTube is doing with ads is shameful, but have you heard about Ubisoft putting ads inside a game itself? They call it a technical error, but sometimes someone had to design the program, and it happened in the first place, so they definitely intended. Yeah, exactly. There are some things that happen where it's, unless you actually plan for this, it kind of goes back to the whole COVID stuff, right? It's like, oh no, how did this thing get released? It's like, well, when you were kind of working on it, and then all of a sudden there's an outbreak near where it was being developed, maybe we can put, 2 and 2 together in that instance. Howard Ridley Scott said that about the scene of Napoleon shooting the pyramids and cannons. I don't know if he did that, but that was a fast way of saying he took Egypt. Yep, that was the line I was referring to. Saeed Manzani says about ads, YouTube play them even if your channel is demonetized. So yeah, I use a lot more NewPipe over the official app. That's why I said as well, I haven't heard of NewPipe, but that's also why I do multi-stream. So if people hate ads that much, you can go watch over on Rumble, you can watch over on Odyssey, you can even watch on Twitter, on X, right? You got plenty of options there. I know it can be a pain. That's why, because YouTube can do whatever they want unless you specify, I'm going to specify, yes, play them, make sure they're conservative. I think that's the best thing that I can really do. Shen Hong, I discovered deleting YouTube cookies stops the ad blocker, but I prefer Rumble. There you go. So Shen Hong says, if you delete YouTube's cookies in your browser, the ad blocker will start working. That's very cool to see. By the way, Heartbreak Ridge, thank you again for becoming a member. And Scott McKenzie, thanks for being a member at 17 months in a row. You are a scholar and a gentleman. Thank you. Let's see. Ambrose Chamberpot, what's going on? Tina B says, I have mixed feelings about Napoleon. Okay. Gotcha. Greta Gerwig answered the answer to this question, Tina. She asked, who directed Barbie? It's Greta Gerwig. I didn't see it, nor would I. I thought Jimmy Kimmel got canceled for misgendering. No, that's Jimmy Fallon, I believe, that got canceled, or is potentially canceled, which is, again, just the dumbest thing ever. The whole thing. Keg44, what's up? Yeah, I've already talked about it a bit to explain what it is that's going on with it. Let's see, Abomination. So no hashtag Wisholian bump. No. Yes, I know you tried to make that a thing, Abomination, but Wisholian did not make a splash. Forever Sci-Fi, who's a member, says, I got the Maltese Falcon in 4K on Black Friday and the Beavis and Butthead collection on Monday. I must confuse the Amazon algorithm. That is the best way. Talk about polar opposites, right? You got Maltese Falcon, all-time classic noir film, and then you got Beavis and Butthead. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what the suggestions for your movie collections will be. Hardwick, which Wish is better, the movie or the Chinese shopping website? They're both evil and mistaken for a variety of reasons. I would say on paper, the Wish Chinese company, but very different spheres. Heartbreak Ridge, I got the Mission Impossible 4K set and the Marx Brothers Collection Blu-ray for my Black Friday haul. Nice, dude. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the most of the things that I picked up on Black Friday as far as physical media were things for giveaways. For instance, I've got 2 films. I got a whole stack of films down here, but I got 2 of the John Wick 4Ks, and it's the chapters 1 through 4 collection. So those will be giveaways on the Discord channel for the keeping the Bifrost level and above members specifically in the coming days. Steven, according to Deadline, this is the first year Disney did not have one single billion-dollar film since 2014. That's a pretty big deal. Now, as you all know, Deadline, whenever they say anything, they don't actually adjust for inflation. So I don't think that's really honest in its assessment, because even if you're someone that gets very triggered whenever I say the word inflation, ticket sales are still going to be important, right? So you could say it's the first time since 2014 that they haven't had a film that got $1 billion, but if the number of tickets that were sold at the time when they were not reaching $1 billion would today very much equal that. And if you just even look at the raw ticket sales, right? The ticket sales in 2023 versus the ticket sales of many, many other years, including films that on paper didn't get to $1 billion, you're going to see a discrepancy. And guess what? It's those older films that are going to have a lot more actual raw ticket sales. All right. Let's see. Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington. Greetings from the cold UK Wellington, and me give Napoleon the boot. Ah, I see. Forever Sci-Fi. John Cusack is nuts, but I love Grosse Point Blank. There you go. Separating the art from the artist. Lady Tharp. Agree. It's a Wonderful Life is the best Christmas movie, and it's one of the best films really ever made. Sailor Mercury. What is going on? General Wingster. Yep, this is exactly the mindset. You will own nothing and you will like it. So get the physical media. Find a way to either, if you have the money to get a server, great. If you don't, get something that you can use, right? Again, old computers can be used in the same way. And then you can create your own Netflix, literally your own personal Netflix. It'll take time, it'll take money, but that is one alternative. Hardwick says, have you ever watched Monk? I have not. Kincaid Rumsky had to say, are we all just going to go back to cable satellite TV? Well, that's the funny thing. That is the hilarious thing about all of it is, when you look at the amount of streaming services we currently have, we have essentially gone back to cable and TV, right? Remember that back in the day, and still, right, my parents, for instance, still pay for cable television, and I try to say, don't do it. You're wasting your money. You're spending hundreds of dollars, right, on having access to so many shows that you have no actual need for, right? So it's a waste of money in that way. But think about where people are today. People are paying for Peacock, for Netflix, for Paramount Plus, for Disney Plus, for all these services, Amazon's, for Amazon Prime. And you add all those things together to get access to these various, collections that might be limited to a specific service. And all that you're really doing is just creating your own, just your own cable company, your own cable company subscription. And it costs about the same as what the cable companies are playing. It's really funny in certain regards. It really honestly is. Let's see. They say, oh, and the world has turned to streaming services. Me, I like to just stick to physical media. Hey, I'm right there with you. Shen Hong, cable. I still got a coat hanger stuck on my TV. Dang, that's old school. Trap Productions, what's up, brother? Says, I'm so grateful that I won that physical copy of Little Battle Angel from you. My lord, all hail physical media, all hail. And congratulations again on that victory. Cowboy Bebop is absolutely great. Welcome, Sailor Mercury again. The Jacobite Wiseman says, do you have a Blu-ray of record of Lotus War? Is that the way that it's being spelled? If so, I don't believe I have that. Abomination says, I'm jealous. You better be. Victor Fontaine, what's up, brother? Hardwick says, the thing that I don't like about the Godzilla -1 trailer is it shows how much handheld camera work there is. It doesn't mesh with the 1940s setting, in my opinion. That might be the truth. And I think that if you're a purist like that, maybe that'll impact you. For someone like me, I just want to see something that is better than the MonsterVerse movies. And you don't have to do much for that to happen. Nathan Slay, Odin by Tom Cruise saying to the world, I'm going to see Barbie and Oppenheimer as a double feature. Did he potentially screw his own movie from doing well that weekend? No. There's a lot of other things that led to it. I think ultimately their decision to have that really weird early release over Monday through Thursday, instead of having just a dedicated Thursday release or Thursday or Wednesday release, I think that had a huge impact on their momentum. I think the time of the year they released also major impact. And I think that that's ultimately what cost them. There's a lot of reasons, but I think that those are kind of the ones that are the most notable of those. Jacobite Wiseman, Christmas movies are being used for horror, not good. Nope. Hardwick says, I just looked up Silent Night to see what it's about, and I'm already sold. It's a John Woo movie. Yeah, basically already talked about that. Rob D, new box office strategy. If you want your movie to be successful, put it up against the newest Disney movie. Yeah, pretty much. So I think that any studio, if they were smart, they would say, let's look at the release schedule right now. All right. And let's see, when does Disney have the weekend to itself with a brand new release? Let's put our movie out that weekend. It's gonna end up well for you, my guess. Nathan Slay, you forgot about the Haunted Mansion? Well, who didn't? Yeah, no one saw it. The numbers are very clear on that. Master of Gaming, will you include Relatively Media in your box office 2023 box office recap for how well companies did? Freelance cost $40 million. Depends. I try to only focus on major studios because when you get to the smaller ones, you start to get to multi-company financing, and that can sometimes be tricky to actually track, but we'll see. Grandmaster Yoda says, the woke mermaid was reported to lose $150 million, gave Disney lie on budget. I can see that claim be legit. And again, we have to wait and see on various reports to actually happen. We need verified information, and we should get verified information next year. When some of those tax credit information gets released, in which case they have to reveal the amount of money that was spent. Kind of like how we found out this year that the Doctor Strange film, Multiverse of Madness, cost an extra $100+ million. Quite insane. Master of Gaming, John Woo movies I recommend is Broken Arrow and Face Off. I do like Face Off, and I watched Broken Arrow. The ending was a bit too much for me, but it was entertaining. Let's see. Scott McKenzie says Odin Sound. Odin Sound? I don't know what that's meaning. I have not had any issues or any person saying that there have been issues on my end, so I don't know what the issue is. All right. Jeremy Zakowski says, I just realized that Godzilla -1 is a sequel to Oppenheimer. Yeah, I guess you could argue that. First, there was the atomic bomb. Then it was not. Scott McKenzie, Sound of Freedom, not an Angel Studio film. They bought distribution rights. Yeah, Scott McKenzie, where have you been, man? Yeah, I talked about that back when Sound of Freedom actually did come out. All right. And that's why the point of what I was saying is that Sound of Freedom, the director for the movie, not the same director that are the typical ones that Angel Studios has, right? Because they did get the rights to his movie. But the same director is also working again with Angel Studios for his next movie. That was the whole point of what I was trying to say there. So I don't know if that was just a misunderstanding, but I've gone into that history of how they got Sound of Freedom. So if it didn't sound like that's what I was saying, that again, we've talked about that at length in previous shows. Forever Sci-Fi as a member says, how has CGI gotten so much worse when you have something as beautiful as The Martian from nearly 10 years ago? As I said, either it's because CGI has gotten bad, probably because of people being overworked, right? We've heard a lot about that happening. But to me, I think it's because CGI Fest. When you are using CGI at every single moment that you possibly can, that is when you have a problem. When you can have a background, a backdrop that's practically affected, and you don't have to worry about doing blue screen, green screen, whatever, it's going to add that much more grit and that much more, realism to your image. But what happens is that instead what these studios decide is, we could build up some sets, but let's just put some green screen, we'll put a couple of random fake rocks somewhere, and it'll look great. And it doesn't, because they overuse it. So again, poorly designed CGI is one thing. Way too much CGI so that it just looks fake is another. Harwick, for me, The Husbands of River Song is the series finale of Doctor Who. Okay, gotcha there. Let us see. Someone was saying that they are heading to bed, apparently, so good night to that person. See, Tina says, you take care. I'll come back before Christmas. See you on Letterboxd and Discord. Boom. Yeah, Tina, have a great night. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see. Levistro says, yes, you are correct. Sorry, character limitations. But my statement was in reference to your statement on Christmas season. Okay. Gotcha. Shen Hong says, the other myth, Christ died on the anniversary of Adam's sin. The idea being Adam lived for 33 and a half years before he fell. I don't know as much about that one. Let's see. Nathan Slay, why is Iron Man and its OG only looking better and better with age? Seriously, look at the CGI for that. It was not only well designed, but it was used very effectively. Hardwick says, Gojirheimer would have made a much more fitting combo than Barbenheimer. I agree with that. I don't know if it would have had the same impact or not. Berg Flicka, what is going on? Dropping $100 super chat. Dang, Berg Flicka, thank you so very much. Very generous of you to do so. He says, hey, Odin and chat. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Have a good Christmas. I'll save my question for next week. Get some rest, brother. Berg Flicka, thank you, man. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, I'm definitely getting tired, and I know that Baby Girl's bath is coming up about right now, and I do want to try to be off as close to 8:30 as I can to try to be able to help out with that, even though I know my in-laws are here. One of them is getting sick, and so can't be nearly as helpful, so we are going to try to wrap things up soon. Sorry I wasn't nearly as formal with going over to the stories. I did, I believe, cover all of the major stories, and I guess what I'll do, though, just to kind of go into it a little bit further, is talking here about Wish. So again, Berg Flicka, man, dropping that hundy. I really do appreciate it, brother. You are awesome. So the Wish. Right now, Wish is made only $49 million. Now, I think the only thing I really need to point out about this movie and about how badly this film is doing is to compare it to a film from earlier this year. Do y'all remember when Elemental came out this past summer, right? So the film Elemental opened up June 16th, opened at $29 million in its 3-day opening. First, 3-day opening, $29 million versus $19 million 3-day opening for Wish. So already a $10 million difference there. You add to that the fact that at the same point of release, first Monday numbers have come out. And I predicted that this would happen yesterday, and sure enough, it did. What happened in the case of Wish? It dropped from $4 million to $745,000. That's right. Wish, after only just being out, right? Just being out for a week, has already dropped below $1 million in a daily number. That is normally the sign for most movies. When you have a film, in this case, of this caliber, by that I mean of budget, etc., fall below $1 million for a daily performance, that is the sign that it is beginning to go away. They've already hit it. After the first Monday, this film has barely been out and it's already hit this number. And sure enough, what happened? Whereas Wish had a 5-day opening, had a Thanksgiving opening, an extended holiday frame. That's why its first Friday is 20 million versus 11 million, because it's got 2 extra days worth of data. And yet, Elemental has already surpassed that of Wish, and by a large margin. 745,000, a daily number for Wish, 5.3 million as a first Monday number for Elemental. This is catastrophic for it. Keep in mind, let's just look at this as a comparison. When is the first weekend, or the first day, I should say, at the box office that Elemental fell beneath $1 million for the first time? Remember, Wish has already done it. Oh boy. It took 6 weeks. It took until the 6th Monday for Elemental to fall underneath $1 million for a daily number. And it took them to about the 7th Monday to get somewhat into the same range as Wish. $745,000 is abysmal. And to kind of cap this in and connect this in with some of these other things, also notice 71% drop for Hunger Games. So it had a huge increase in revenue over the course of that holiday. Looks like that holiday honeymoon is over. We'll have to wait and see. It still did very well, possibly well enough to push things along quite a bit. But again, not looking all that great. Napoleon also had a very strong start. Pretty massive drop off. Wish, however, had the biggest, right? 83% drop. 85% for Trolls. Even that one had a pretty massive one. So that's another one that we're going to have to keep our eyes on. Though, of course, the $32 million for Wish still $2 million below Napoleon's 3-hour drama, and still far below Trolls Band Together, $65 million. The Marvels, oh boy, $339,000. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So Marvel's done, but even now Wish coming in under $1 million for a day, after only being out for less than a week, when it took Elemental 6 weeks for that to have a daily number under $1 million. That's awful. King and Rumsky, how about the Meg a Wish bump? I see what you did there. All right, we got to rapid fire some of these, though. Hopefully that answers some of y'all's questions about just how poorly Wish is doing at the box office. We'd have a very, very good discussion talking about different movies, etc. King and Rumsky, humanity probably started in Bethlehem as well. Okay. Nikita Lance says, can we get Tony on the show? Someone make that happen. I don't think he would ever want to come on. Let's see. Muriam Takumbo, what is going on? Welcome back. Let us see. Victor Fontaine. Black Friday broke me. Bro, you were posting all the things you were buying. It was kind of crazy. Let's see. Derezatron over on Rumble, what's up? Says, wife and I started collecting physical media again. I was one of the ones who bought into the Declutter Your Life, Go Digital. Your constant vigilance brought me back round again. Hey, yeah, absolutely, man. And here's the thing. Declutter your life for sure. What you can do is you can digitize your library. You can then find a space, right, to consolidate your media, because as long as you have it on that centralized server that you own, as I said, you can still go that digital route, but it's a hybrid version of it, because you still have the physical media, but you have control. And that is a key difference. Let's see. Steven says, kind of speech to tell a friend who lost their brother to cancer. What should I say? Regards, condolences, positive messages. I mean, I can't give you advice on that, brother. All I can say is just speak from the heart and just let them know that you're there for them. Physical media is the best, says Berg Flicka. Watched so many movies on Amazon Prime only to go back and find that they were only for rent or purchase. Sometimes they delete scenes. Exactly. Christoph the Polish Geek, do you play video games? Not really, not all that much. I do need to get back into playing. I was playing Spider-Man 2, but I stopped because I started playing a mission and then found out, oh wait, the mission is I have to help this guy ask another guy to a dance, I'm not playing that. I'm sorry. That is not what I got that game to play. And there's no ability for me that I could see to back out of that mission. I'm like, nope, not playing it. But I was having some fun. Right now, I'm actually setting up for my nephew. I got a retro game player. It's called the Miu Mini Plus. And I'm trying to figure out how to get Onion OS, which is an operating system for it, on here. And I'm following the instructions, but I think I must be doing something wrong because I was having issues with that beforehand. All right, rapid fire. Heartbreak Rage, if not for live sports, I would not subscribe to any TV services as it is every pause, and I'm currently paused until February. Hey, I get it. I understand. YouTube TV is kind of the main thing for me that I use for those things. Lord Tharp of Hastings, looking forward to watching Cowboy Bebop for the first time. Yeah, congratulations on that again, and I'll be sending that out hopefully over the next couple of days. Berg Flicka says, Lotus War was the first anime I saw, a must-have for every weeb. Nice. Master Gaming, Greg Owen reviewed The Shift, and he liked it. Okay. That's one person, not the end-all, be-all of things. Mudiam Takumbe, I can't wait for Silent Night. Gonna see it opening night. Again, based on the premise, I'm actually a little bit more intrigued. I just did not know much about it, but now I do. Christoph Polshgeep says Silent Night might be awesome as last year's Violent Night. No. So, Christoph, Violent Night, I'm going to say it right now, and it was unpopular last year. I'm sure it's still not popular. Violent Night sucked. It wasn't a good movie. It wasn't funny. For those that enjoyed it, I can't take that joy away from you. But yeah, not my cup of tea. All right, we do need to wrap things up, though. All right, let's see. Berg Flicka, have a great one, dude. And thank you so very much for that Hundy donation, man. It really does mean quite a bit. Cthulhu, 10 years ago, CGI companies were making movies under cost to get more work. They all went bankrupt, so now we have what we have. Gigabyte says, too much CGI makes Super Sentai look like a high-budget production. Yeah, again, there's multiple issues. Rob D, regardless of Iron Man 1 CGI, back then, Iron Man's suit was some of what realistic and plausible, then just became movie magic. Exactly. Howard, did you know that most of the fighter jets and Top Gun sequel? Yeah, I mean, I know that you were sharing that, dude. I haven't watched the videos, so I can't really speak much to that, okay? Shen Hong says, CGI sucks for the same reason the films suck. There's no art anymore, just the message. Agreed. Master Gaming, would surprise me if Universal becomes the #1 studio domestically. All I can say is Universal is definitely doing well in regards to some of their animated content. Let's see. Nathan Slay, a message taken from Wish failing at the box office. Wishing upon a star doesn't always help you. Clearly, Wish now playing at Sleep Center near you. Disney doing the Lord's work, helping those suffering from insomnia. Yeah, and the film really just isn't good. I did get to see it, and to me, there was actually one line where it's like the crowd of people singing, and I kid you not, there was some line in the song that had something to the effect of, "We are our own creators." And the way in which it was worded, I thought, oh, okay, so this is a universe that is either pagan or agnostic or atheistic. And okay, this makes a little bit more sense then. It was a line that I heard them sing, and I'm like, wait, what? Hardwick, I don't like how in later Marvel movies, Iron Man's army became fluid. Yeah, I don't like the nanotech either. It became very complicated. Let's see. Snow Golem over on Odyssey. What's up, brother? Great to see the wall of woke movies getting hit right out of the gate. Yeah, Wish is, of course, just the last one. Snow Golem. Oh, and that's why I stopped playing BL3. Couldn't take all the woke. You have to marry the guys. Two guys. Screw that game. Oh, no, yeah. Get out of here with that nonsense. 626 Charles. What's up? All right. So, with that being said, we have gotten through all of the live chat. So again, thank you all very much for watching tonight. Thank you all again for putting up with my late start. But yeah, what can we walk away from tonight? Right now, Hunger Games is actually performing a little bit better. Again, a big part of that is because of what it was able to do over the Thanksgiving break. We're seeing a pretty massive drop on its following Monday. We'll track it. We'll see what's happening with that for this upcoming weekend. But the big news is, I think, ultimately coming down to two films, Wish and The Marvels. The Marvels has fallen off the map so much that its daily number, after only being out for 18 days, $339,000. For a Marvel film that's only 3 weeks old, that's abysmal. Wish dropping to $745,000. And that film just came out. What takes weeks for other movies, and what has taken weeks for other movies to fall below and to fall into that level, Wish has done already. And all the people are trying to blame who they can, trying to blame everyone that they can. And ultimately, the only people that are to blame for these failures are Disney. They need to start to have some self-reflections. They need to start pointing the fingers back at themselves, because they're the reason why Disney films are no longer appealing to kids, no longer appealing to families, and ultimately no longer appealing to anyone. When in a list of movies that you have for a given year, when there is only maybe one, max two films that you could argue had any ability to either make their money back or barely break even, in the midst of countless releases of losses of the hundreds of millions of dollars variety, you can't you can't do anything with that. But without all that being said, please make sure, again, y'all smash that like button. Lot of that fun about it, honestly. Smash the rumble button as well. Please also share this video out if you found it informative and fun in any way. And thank y'all again for y'all's patience in my late start tonight. Upcoming schedule, of course, we have Friday Night Tights coming up. My plan is to see, right now I have a plan and a ticket to go see Godzilla -1 tomorrow for an early fan screening. Hopefully I can go if family allows me to. And if I can, I'll try and get a review out of that on the channel as soon as I possibly can. Check me out over at Criticless. Love that site. Great site. Great people over there. And I'm trying also to keep up with my giveaways. And also, I know I'm well overdue for a podcast episode for my members who get access to such a thing. So stay tuned for all those things as I do the best that I can. Anyway, thank y'all for always understanding. Y'all the best in the business. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful rest of your night. A blessed, blessed, blessed Tuesday. In fact, today is the feast of Saint Catherine Labouré, who was given the miraculous medal. So we pray for the intercession of Our Lady. May God bless you. And as always, God bless. And now for a special shout out to all of my Chosen of Valhalla members for the month of November, starting off with Father Luca Illich, Rosetta Allen, check out her YouTube channel, the name Eagle Rider. Miss Martin Muses, check out her YouTube channel by the same name. Matt317, check out his Twitch channel. Laura, the Mother Major General Story, sorry, I didn't have enough spirit fingers there. Mr. Roy and ZK Man, who can check out over at xtheboundaries.co. If you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, check out the top link in the video description below. You get access to things like the giveaways channel, a podcast that I try to do every single month with a bunch of other awesome YouTubers, and a plethora of other content. So go ahead and check that out if you want more. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.